2 North Carolina high school students have been arrested for impersonating a 35-year-old man on Grindr as a way to get their French teacher to send them naked pictures. The teacher's name is David Laughinghouse. And yeah, the story broke around school. He was suspended with pay, and the kids have been arrested. They're both 16 years old, and the Onslow County School District released this statement saying, the students and staff involved in this situation deserve their privacy and they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. This has been very disruptive to the learning environment of Swansboro High School and has caused real harm. Therefore, as we move forward as a community, we urge everyone to treat this situation and the individuals involved with the same courtesy and sensitivity that you would want if you or a member of your family was involved. And not just that, a former student of that teacher started an online petition, and she says this in the online petition. I could never imagine what was going through those students' minds when they decided to target a supportive teacher, but I can only believe that they did not understand the gravity of their actions. I don't want to use this letter to make excuses for a group of children who made a terrible mistake, but the thing is, I know that's exactly what Mr. Laughinghouse would do to make an impact on their lives. Mr. Laughinghouse is always there quietly serving as a hero to students in need, from small things like buying lunch for students who forgot their money at home, to bigger actions like helping a student struggling with problems at home. So yeah, that's the story. That's where they're at right now. What do you think?
It is hard to, like on Samantha's point, to judge what a couple children were doing, what motivated this. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that this was motivated in trying to shame him for being homosexual or trying to get him in trouble for sending lewd pictures to a minor, or at least trying to embarrass him. There's no, she says, I don't think they understood the weight of what they were doing. I kind of think they might have. This is messed up. You don't accidentally make a Grindr account and find your teacher and try to solicit inappropriate pictures. This seems like they knew exactly what they were doing.
Amberia, you agree?
I agree that there had to be some kind of malintent, right?
Something's not. Yeah, something's not right.
Agreed. And I think it's unfortunate that the teacher has been suspended, but obviously that's because this incident has been disruptive to the classroom.
Yeah.
I wonder if he can re-enter not only the school, the district. I'm sure the story has, penetrated the more choice
so
of words.
To speak. But yeah, no, it has.
But I just wonder what, how he's going to, post issue, how he's going to kind of reintegrate himself back into the teaching community.
He better not be kicked out for this because he didn't do anything knowingly wrong.
I would assume it was without, or since it's with pay, I think I would hope that it's just because they're saying, okay, this has got to be traumatic with you.
Sure.
Kids are gonna walk by snickering and doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
And it might be best if he kind of steps away. But the question is, this is a dating app. Grindr's a dating app, and if you live in the neighborhood, you might come across a dating profile for someone. Should teachers with students have, regardless if it's Grindr or Tinder or anything else like that, should they have dating apps?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're still people. They're not doing this at school. They're not like trying to, get with a student. It looks like he thought that this was a 35-year-old man, which is perfectly fine.
What would you do if this was you?
I'd be really upset.
But what would you do? So you see the kids, you walk into school, they're, if the first day as they're trying to figure out who it is, and while you're in class with those kids, you find out that the police are coming in to arrest them for doing this to you. What do you say to those kids?
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't think that you say anything to the children. And I'm calling them children. They're 16.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fair too.
They have a level of awareness. I mean, they're not the sharpest, or maybe not cognizant of even some of the legal ramifications, right? You mentioned them being 16 and they're not considered adults, right? So I'm not sure that they were considering that at the time.
They could be tried as adults.
But I wouldn't engage them. The issue and what I was pointing to is how do you navigate the stigma after this? You know, I don't think the school is going to fire him, but how do you navigate that stigma? How do you maintain professionalism in a context where it's already difficult to do that because they're 16?
Yeah, it's just, now I feel like I'm 1,000 years old when I'm like, oh my gosh, they have apps now and they're finding naked pictures of people.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, one of our teachers was on the show Blind Date.
Oh.
Which in that situation, I'm like, you did that to yourself. She went on Blind Date and she did during the date, and to Blind Date for people who haven't seen it, it's like the dating game or like the love connection, but you actually go along with them on the date. So you see every embarrassing thing that occurs,
and there's
little
stupid
windows that pop up.
Like pop-up
That's right,
video.
like in a bubble.
Just to like make fun of you, essentially on the way. But she decided as a teacher to 16-year-old kids to go do that. And on the date, she did a pole dance. And it was like, why would you?
You should certainly conduct yourself in a way publicly.
Right.
That wouldn't hurt your employment in any way. And that's true of almost every job.
So what's Grindr's responsibility in this situation? The police come knocking and say, who was it? What do you think?
Well, Grindr, don't they say they cooperate with police?
Right, yeah,
Like
this
they're
is
a public open app.
This is their statement. They said, we are constantly improving upon this process to try to cooperate with police. This after saying they're committed to creating a safe environment through a system of digital and human screening tools. They say, we are constantly improving upon this process. It is important to remember that Grindr is an open platform. Grindr cooperates with law enforcement on a regular basis and does not condone abusive or violent behavior.
I don't know that that's true. I mean, we covered a story a couple weeks ago where, Grindr is, they create a context in which people can abuse their app, right? So are they liable? No, but when you release statements that say that we are constantly improving, you need to demonstrate to the public those measures that you are improving upon, right? What are you actually doing? Because as it stands now, it's after the fact. You have to cooperate with law enforcement because crimes have been committed. So what are you doing? What measures are you taking to protect folks who abuse, your app? And I think they need to do a little bit more in terms of letting the public know this is what we're doing. Because as it stands, you can just report something as inappropriate, and that goes to wherever.
Right.
Space.
Damage could be done already.
Yeah.
There was a case at Duquesne University. There was a grad student who disappeared and died, and was found dead later. And the parents were angry that Grindr only provided the minimum amount required by law, but it is one of those floodgates type situations. There's a law that is probably over a decade old now that does not hold providers of online services responsible for the actions taken by people who use those services. So if someone falsely claims something on Craigslist, they can't necessarily hold Craigslist responsible. And a lot of the folks that are fighting against that are saying things like, well, isn't it negligence if you do not have the right protocols in place to make sure that no one's taking advantage of it, and you're making sure you're ensuring that these are human beings, that they are who they say they are, and that and so in that situation, it seems like it might be time to update the laws at least.
Absolutely, or for someone to intervene and create a better app that takes the weaknesses of Grindr and makes something that actually is functional and
and spells Grindr right. There's an E in there.
Podcast the Young Turks anytime you want. tytnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
do it now. tytnetwork.com/join.